there's a reason. And every month, as we prepare the next cost report, so this list grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. At the moment it's on 2 pages. Before this project will finish, we do 3 pages. Some projects can go on forever. But it's a record of all the costs, of all the changes. And I mean, this, I don't know if you've discussed obviously general builders work, provisional sums, work that wasn't finalised at the time of tender, where we had allowances in, we had an allowance in for joinery fittings, we had an allowance in for carpets, we had an allowance in for timber decks, allowance for electrical, allowance for plumbing, and as the job progresses, so we appoint the plumber, we appoint the electrician, we appoint the subcontractor to do the timber decks, we appoint the guys who's going to put in kitchen cupboards and all the joinery, and we adjust our budgets accordingly. It'll kick out any extras or savings. Savings, the red items obviously, which are few and far between on this job. All these totals we carry through to my summary page, and there's my cost explanation. And every month I'll meet with the client, we go through this, and say, this is where we stand at the moment. Your cost report should at least cover that sort of information. One thing I don't have on this cost report, well, I've got something here. I've listed exclusions on alerting the client to certain items which are not covered by this cost report. For example, kitchen appliances. We haven't allowed in our budget for his fridge and his stove that he might go and buy, or his toaster or kettle or those sort of things. We'll also have to be allowed for here. There's a contractor's claim for additional P&G for his extra time he spent on site. We're still busy working through that, and we haven't provided anything in this. Some general notes. Something that's not shown here is we quite often attach another page, which are called items under consideration. And we list anything which we might be aware of, which is not in the cost report. And it gives the client an opportunity to decide, look, do I actually want to go ahead with that or not? It might be something like an easy one, like a tennis court. There's room for the tennis court, he's mulling over it. You say to him, the tennis court's going to cost you, I've got an idea what the tennis court costs these days, maybe 250,000. Say, you don't have the tennis court allowed in our budget. Something you want to consider. If you add it, you've got to add another 250,000. It's like a shopping list. Items under consideration. If you're aware of things that might be cropping up, and you want the client to make a decision, does he go ahead with this or not, you'll give him a list of items under consideration. I don't have anything in this particular project where I would have had a page, but just haven't used it because there's nothing, no items under consideration. It might well occur. It's good to be able to at least alert the client to something that's not in the cost report that he might want to consider. Right. See also put here. Okay, this was one particular cost report. This is the cash flow. Also, it goes along with, this is a fairly simple cash flow. I'll show you a more complicated one in a minute. But this is a fairly simple cash flow where that was our original contract sum. This is just related to the building cost, only not all the professional fees and so on and so forth. We said to the client, in 11 months, those are the sort of numbers you should be expected to spend, excluding VAT, including VAT, accumulated total. At the moment, our project cost is sort of looking more like this. You can see it's gone on for a bit longer. There's an extra 4 months of payments. So this is where you should be expecting to be. And then you say, but hang on a bit, this is what you've actually paid the contractor. The reason I do this is because we like to give him a draft as well. And that draft, I'm sure you guys are probably better at preparing these things than I am, but that draft comes from our cash flow, obviously. this red line here was our original project. That's where we thought we were going, until we added in the extra wing and the extra basement and the swimming pool. So I've said to the client, well, that's where we were. This is where we're going now. You can see the project cost has gone up quite a bit, and also it's gone up quite a bit. Extra 4 months. In fact, in reality, I don't even know if we're going to complete it in those 4 months. And this is where the project, the contract is at the moment. These are his payments, which is a bit concerning because really this ground line should be up here somewhere. What it means is that the contractor is behind, is way behind on his program and what he's paying for his program. His payments, it should be a lot closer if he was on program. So what probably happens is that he's either going to really work very hard in the next 3 or 4 months, the payments are going to sort of rocket up like that, or this thing's going to sort of go out to somewhere on the wall over there, maybe another 2 months onto the contract. But a graph gives you a very good and clear picture of exactly where you stand on the project. That's why this cash flow is quite important. There's the cash flow there, and your graph, and that gives you a very clear picture. You know that if problems here, look, on this particular project, we are expecting that things are going to rocket here. There's a lot of expensive finishes coming in now. All the sanitary waste coming in. They're putting very expensive flooring down. The swimming pool now, this very expensive swimming pool is actually going in at the moment. So the next 2 or 3 payments will certainly will take us a steep jump here. Not quite steeply. But you'll probably find we'll go on another month or so. So that's what basically forms the basis of my cost. And my cash flow, my graph, my cash flow, and then all these numbers where I explain the changes to the client. Again, I just want to say that this sort of information I like to keep confidential. It's not something that you tell the builder. Certainly you'll be aware of the cash flow, you'll know that he's behind, you'll know where he's in. It's not normally the sort of stuff you would tell the contractor. Reason being, of course, and we don't have on this particular project, but we might have a big fat contingency sitting in the sums. We took the contingency out of this project right at the beginning, but you might well have a big fat contingency of R500,000 in yourself to cover any of these unexpected changes. Already we spent 2.3 million rand extra on the project, so our contingency was wiped out long ago. But you might be sitting with a big fat contingency here, and you don't normally divulge that sort of information to other parties, particularly the builder. You don't need to know that you're sitting with R500,000 rand in the back pocket, because you want to see that you're spending. I'm not saying building contractors are dishonest, but it's just sort of information that you keep confidential. Right. So that's my cost report. In that particular project, I bought. This is just another one. I just brought this summary just to show you that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns in here. My approved budget, my current report, my previous report, the variance of the approved budget, and then I've also, in this particular instance, we are reporting on monthly variance as well. What's changed this month so that I can say, see you.
What's the difference between the budget and the estimate?
Okay, the estimate you'll do before the project starts. And then, on that basis, the client will say to you, okay, go ahead and let's put the job out to tender. We're working according to that estimate. Tenders will come in. Tenders might be higher or lower than your estimate. If the client says to you, look, we might say, let's say the tenders come in lower than your estimate. The client might say that's fine. The estimate was the approved budget. He's got the money in accordance with what we estimated. So perhaps we will establish a contingency. But the estimate is the approved budget. Our last estimate, or our approved estimate becomes the approved budget. Just in certain cases, the guy says, okay, well, tenders are coming lower than your approved, lower than your estimate. We'll scrap the estimate now, and the approved budget becomes the tender. So it's really a sort of commercial decision that you can make. Does that make sense? It's actually just can be your approved budget, can be your last estimate, or you quite often will bring it back to your whatever the tender is, and that's your new starting point. It's really just a starting point in the contract. Is that right? Anybody happy with that? This is just a pretty picture. This is another cash flow. I mean, you can compare it to that, a simple one. This is a cash flow I did for another project. The only reason I'm showing you this is because we had the land cost. We've actually got the building cost, which is reduced to 2 lines over there. Any direct contracts, escalations, all the municipal charges, some sundry fees, and we've projected this over the construction period along here. All the payments that are going to be made, all the VAT payments that he's got to make, his VAT returns coming here in that red line there. This is a bank-funded project. At this stage, the interest rate was running at, not going to read itself, that's 4.5%. What is that? 4.5, but they've got everything right. I'm not too sure what that interest rate certainly on 4.5%. Anyway, this is the purpose of this cash flow was to work out what our finance charges would be at the end of the project. So, I mean, cash flows can become a little bit more complex than the one I showed you earlier. This was trying to work out feasibility on a commercial project. We want to know what our bank charge and our interest rates, our interest charges are made. So they can become a little bit complicated. And is that it? I've spoken about the graph, and I've shown you my second cost report, which was that one there, and then I'll show you the, I think, just a last comment on this particular cost report. I said personally that my philosophy is to keep it simple, and to provide only the information that is necessary for the project or that is requested from the client. And that's it. That's my presentation.
Or do you find you have to kind of coach them?
Take it to Forest first. I'm only taking Forest for a few things and then we...
But when you give them something like that, do you normally sit with them and kind of explain it to them beforehand, or you just kind of email and
Very good question, actually, because what I do quite often is I email them a copy, and then I go and see them. And I give them a day or two just to digest it. Quite often, look, it happens, they get completely the wrong end of the stick. And they think that they owe another whatever it is or something, and you say, no, you've paid all that already. Maybe you guys are not too sophisticated. But look, if you are sort of regular in your cost reports and you're up to date, then they get a good understanding. But if you do go there one day and tell him that his job's now gone up by 20%, then you might be in a bit of trouble. You might have something explaining to him. Touch wood, I can't think of any incident where I've been thrown out of somebody's office. It can be quite a tense affair. But also I say to God, don't shoot me, I'm only the messenger. You must don't shoot the architect who's spending all the money. I'm just telling you how much it's cost me.
Alan, do you actually then run the cost report past the architect first before you give it to the client?
Not formally. Not formally. I think it depends on what sort of relationship you've got with the architect. I'm doing another project a much bigger project, where we certainly discuss it amongst ourselves with the project manager. Him and I get together, and we might have 3 or 4 versions of it. Sorry, I'm a bit more black. But I'm doing a hotel project, and we've got a full team on that job. And I'll present a draft cost report to the project managers, and we might do 2 or 3 drafts, which we'll talk about and discuss before we actually forward it onto the client. And then, in that instance, our client is so unfazed, he sort of has a half a look at it, discusses 1 or 2 things, and that's it. So it does change from job to job. But yes, we do. Maybe not the architect, but the project manager involved. It's a good idea, though.
Based on your projects, from your estimate, what is there like a 5% difference always from your estimate to your final account? Based on the projects which you work on, does your estimate difference?
Between the estimate and the final account?
Yeah.
Look, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule there. No, I haven't got an answer for that. A project like this is a case in point. I mean, I think that the tenders came in over my estimate at the time. I thought we're in a good situation here. Everybody's hungry. All the builders are looking for work at the time. House builders, they should be falling over their feet to try and give us prices. When the prices did come in, they weren't quite as competitive as we thought. So perhaps we were already over budget. Then the client went and decided to go ahead with this. What he was going to do as a second phase, he decided to add it into the project. So if you ask me now whether the final account's going to be over my estimate or not, probably will be, but I can't take responsibility for that. I did a school a while ago where my estimate was about 25 million, I think, at the time. And with government contracts, they don't invite tenders, like I mentioned earlier. They basically open the tender up to all sorts of builders, provided you've got the right CRDB grading, I think it is. We probably had about 30 tenders. My estimate was, our budget was 25 million, my estimate was about 21, and the lowest tender came in at about 18 or 19 or something. So going from our budget of 25 to 19 million when the lowest tender came, it was quite a significant saving. When you take the average of the tenders, you admit the highest one, which is like just a chance of way over the top. It was pretty much in line with what we thought the right price should be. The right price was 21 million. That was the average of the tenders. Again, was a 2 million, 2.5 million saving when you eventually started the job. But they're going to spend that money again now, and just change that. So it's very difficult to say that there's a correlation between your estimate when you start and the problem. I suppose, hopefully, they should be quite close, provided you know the differences. Yep.
Just to clarify, the first column, the approved budget, is it the estimate that the QS did or is it the contractor's template?
Well, it could be either. Could be the approved budget.
Yes.
I did say that it depends on your client. You might say the tenders coming in a lot lower than your estimate. You might say, look, I've still got that money. Let's keep your estimate as our approved budget. Although what usually happens is that when the tender is coming lower, you will say, let's make the tender price now our approved budget. You basically take it, say, you say, let's make the tender price our. Otherwise, what you can do is if the tenders might come in higher than your estimate. So then he says, okay, well look, we've got to do it now. So then the tenders become the approved budget. We've already increased the budget. It's something that you will decide at the beginning. Like the developer or the client might say, look, I've got that money to spend. So here's my tender, but let's say in this instance, I don't know if you can read that, but that's 4.7 million. Let's say his budget, his approved budget, he says, I'm prepared to spend 5 million on the house. Tenders come in as 4.7 million. So what we do is that I would put a contingency in. I would take the balance of that 5 million, which is 250,000. And I say, right, let's establish a contingency book. So our budget is still 5 million. We're only spending 4.7 at the moment based on a tender. We've got a 250,000 in contingency in our back pocket that if he does make any changes, we use that money first. So then the estimate is the approved budget. Make sense? Good. Anything else? So this is the final year class. And all these guys are going to be quantitative based next year?
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Well, good luck everybody. Welcome to the profession. I think, you know, I said to my son, because he's also, is that it's a good time, these last few years have been a good time to be studying. Because the times have been tough. There are some people who are quite busy, and there are some people that are struggling. And I think these last 3 years, it's been a good time to actually be sitting at varsity studying, because I think things are improving. And when the guys graduate, you know, things are going to be looking up. So it's a good sign. When I graduated, I think it was 69. 10 or 16, rather now. Those years. Good to see you. Good luck.